I'm Emilio Pasmino, and these are the Wildlife Brothers.
I'm Evan. And I'm Harrison. And we are the Wildlife Brothers. So today we're out here in Big Cypress National Preserve road cruising to see what kind of reptiles and birds we can find. And it's going to be right around sunset now, so let's get after it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
The brothers and I spent the next couple of hours trekking around the swamp, looking for wildlife in any place they could be hiding, even under the road. By far, the most common reptile we saw was the American alligator. And lucky for us, we were able to see them in all their stages of life, from hatchlings, to yearlings, to juveniles, some big adults, and yes, even a few dead ones. However, because they are protected by Florida law, we weren't allowed to catch any. As much as I would have loved to hold them like the caimans and crocodiles in Ecuador, this was about as close as I could get. Besides, these massive reptiles are more than worthy of their own episode, so I'll talk about them more in a future video. However, as soon as nightfall hit, we began seeing some of the park's more elusive residents.
What you got? Careful, careful. Oh my god, it's a glass lizard.
And you just lost its tail.
You're kidding me! Oh, I'm
No
so
way.
sorry, baby. Honey, I am so sorry. Oh, I feel awful. You are kidding me. It's an Eastern glass lizard. So, I just made one of the biggest mistakes in my entire career working with wildlife. So we have been out here road cruising all day, and we have not seen one reptile except for brown anoles and the American alligator. We see a reptile on the road, no legs, thought it was a snake. We didn't have the lights going yet, so I did what I normally would with a non-venomous snake, grabbed it midsection by the tail, and as it turns out, it was not a snake at all, but this Eastern glass lizard, and as their name would suggest, he just dropped his tail. Now, this is an individual that is capable of an ability called caudal autonomy, which is the ability to drop your tail off. Now, this is not something that I grabbed him too hard and it came off. He did this intentionally. It is an anatomical ability that they have. And luckily, his tail will grow back in time, but unfortunately, this does deplete him of a little bit of a reserve of energy, and then it also makes him a little bit more susceptible to predators. But this is an ability that they have naturally, but I am absolutely ashamed that I did not make that identification fast enough. This is a completely harmless animal. It is not a snake. This is actually a species of lizard. And if you take a look at the head, Amelia, you want to talk about the head?
Yeah, sure. So here you can see the main difference between a snake and a lizard, because sometimes lizards are going to be like this. They have no legs. So you can't just guide yourself on that. The first big difference you're going to see is that they actually have ears. Snakes are deaf by nature. They can't hear, but lizards can. And the second feature that's going to differentiate them are the eyelids. And I don't know, I can't tell if this one's blinking right now. But
He hasn't so far.
He hasn't so far, but yeah, these guys can blink. Snakes cannot blink because they have no eyelids, so that's how you can tell them apart. But unfortunately, right now it was too dark, and when we grabbed it, we couldn't tell it was the lizard. So if we had known it was the glass lizard, we would not have made this mistake. And yeah, we do feel terrible about this.
Yeah,
luckily, it'll grow back.
Really important to note, though, this species, he will be absolutely okay. This is the reason they have that defense mechanism. Yep, and as I said earlier, that is 100% my fault. This is not a dangerous animal. This was something that was completely an identification in the dark, as it were. But again, this guy is going to be absolutely fine. In just a couple weeks, that tail is going to grow back. You can actually see how the muscles are shaped that he can sever it. Because look at the tail here. That kind of almost X pattern, it just sits in a little divot, and they just contract that muscle. I wonder if that has a name, actually. It might. Now, this is an ability that, as I mentioned, is called caudal autonomy. It is a natural process. Many lizards can do it. It's just something we always try and avoid when we're out here herping.
Another thing that this teaches us about the glass lizard is the fact that their tails are actually really long. Now, snake tails, naturally, they're going to be about this long.
Like, and yes, snakes do have tails, but the glass lizard and other species of legless lizards have tails that are almost as long as their entire body. So the tail is actually at the midsection. So you would be thinking, did we cut the snake in half? Technically not. This is just the tail.
Right. Now, the other thing that's interesting is you can see that obviously the tail is no longer attached to the lizard's body, but it's still writhing around. Now, the reason that's happening is because there are still electric nerve impulses that are going throughout the whole tail. That's what's causing it to move around like that, because there, as I mentioned, there's still a lot of nerve endings in there, and that's actually to distract predators. If they see something writhing around on the ground, that'll catch the attention of a heron, a snake, larger lizards that would be possibly eating this guy, and it gives them a chance to escape. So the tail almost acts as a distraction, and that's exactly what he wanted me to think. Yeah, so absolutely fantastic. Fantastic getting a little eastern glass lizard out here. Oh yeah, nice. Hey!
Good shot.
Beautiful.
Alrighty.
Beautiful capture. All right.
To take the light.
Okay.
Right. You want to do the honors?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Oh, I want to work with this guy too. Look at that. So this guy here is the Florida gar. Now this is the very first gar I have ever held. And I don't know if we got the shot, but Emilio just scooped this guy out of the water.
I got it.
Excellent. Nice. This guy is incredible. Now the Florida gar is what? Whoa! Whoa! He's going all over the place. Watch those jaws now.
Yep, they're very slippery.
Very, very slippery. And one of the nice things about them is they...
that's what I wanted to get.
They're the teeth.
The teeth.
The Florida gar has incredibly tough scales. These guys have bone underneath each and every one of their scales on the top. Those bones are called osteoderms. And those scales make the body incredibly tough. He literally feels like a piece of stone. And now zoom in on the mouth there. The Florida gar is an expert predator. So he has all those needle-like teeth in there that he will use to take down smaller fish. The gar is one of the most perfectly adapted predators here in the Everglades ecosystem, and those teeth prove exactly why. Gar are one of the most primitive, and strong species of fish here in Florida, and there have been gar that have looked virtually unchanged from this individual for hundreds of millions of years.
He's really feisty. He's trying to get me there.
Oh yeah.
And if I don't hold him exactly like this, he is going to swim away.
Yeah, and take a piece of my finger off.
Oh yeah.
It's okay.
All right. The reason we're actually able to take him out of the water at all is because his air bladder, which is something that all fish have, is actually specialized to allow him to actually be out of the water for small periods of time. Now, that air bladder is what he's going to use while he's swimming to maintain buoyancy, but they can actually adapt it to act as a sort of lung. So bringing this guy out of the water for a presentational segment like we're doing now is actually not harming him in any way. He doesn't really mind either way. He's just a bit confused. Why am I out of the water and why are all these people taking video of me? And actually, one of the interesting things about gar is sometimes in low oxygen environments, they will actually come to the surface and gulp air. Exactly right. So if there's not enough circulation in the water, these guys will actually, as Harrison mentioned, come to the surface, and that will be their supply of oxygen, which is not something that most fish species can do, but is one of the things that make these guys so adaptable here in the Everglades. So one of the things that makes these guys such adaptable predators is how streamlined their body is. Now take a look at that tail, and they're just so thin and torpedo-like all the way down their body, including the tip of their snout there. These guys can move so quickly through the water, one spook, and they will be gone in seconds. So it's really lucky that Emilio had that net. We were able to scoop this guy up right by the bridge. And this is a nocturnal species, so they're going to be out hunting at this time of day, which is where we were able to catch this guy. He really wants to go back.
I just
now.
heard that
There's a
fish
lot of them
slap.
back there. There's like 30, but let's go ahead and release them.
Oh
Yeah, definitely.
Let's get this guy back in the water now. We're going to let this guy go now, back into the water, and he can keep hunting. There you go. What an incredible species. Okay.
What do we got here?
So, this guy is a little banded water snake. Now, he does have his head in that triangle shape, so he wants me to think, hey buddy, that he's a cottonmouth, but in reality, this is a completely non-venomous species of snake. And as I handle him gently like that, he should calm down.
Yeah. Also, please note that he's grabbing it by the tail right now, but it's not gonna happen like the other glass lizard. It's not gonna pop off. Snakes cannot do that, so it's okay to grab him by the tail.
Ooh. Yep. Now, you notice that he's kind of writhing around a little bit, but he's actually not striking at me yet. And I say yet because sometimes water snakes can be a little bit grabby, but this guy's actually being a real sweetheart, as banded water snakes often are.
Yeah, I found that around here, the other water snakes we have, like the brown and the green, they tend to be more snappy, but the banded is usually quite calm.
And as I start to handle him gently, you'll notice that he's getting really calm. His head is starting to flare out less. He's just moving through my hands.
Yep, I think he just wants to be on his way. It's much cooler now than when we were finding these guys out in the bright sun, so he's probably just trying to absorb the last little bit of heat trapped in the asphalt, and then he'll go on his way for the night.
Exactly. All right. Very first snake of the night here in Big Cypress.
So what do you say we let this guy get back on his way now?
All right, we're gonna let this guy go now. He's a little bit far from water, but I'm sure he'll find his way. There he goes. Awesome.
Well, everyone, we had an amazing day today here in Big Cypress National Preserve. We were here with our friends, the Wildlife Brothers, and I'm so glad we were able to show them the amazing wildlife we have out here in the swamp. We got to see gators, we got to see a legless lizard, snake at the end, so many birds. And if you like the content of this video or just animal encounters in general, be sure to check out the Wildlife Brothers channels. They got some amazing educational content over there. I really recommend it, and please help them get to 1,000 subscribers.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So,
All right. With nothing else left to say, Buenos muchachos, until next time.
if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and comment down below. And if you haven't already, subscribe so you don't miss out on any new adventures by clicking the channel icon right above, or click here to watch another video. And as always, thanks for watching.